talk.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Dolly.
It's 2016 and here we are. Oh my gosh. We got a special guest, you guys. You know who he is. It be the Dave. And he said to tell you he brought in his leather chair.
Oh, what does the leather chair mean?
Business.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, business. He says he'll sit in the soft, comfy chair later, but first is business.
Ah, okay.
But let me greet everybody.
Where's JP at?
He'll be here late.
Mm.
He said he'll be here about a half hour late.
Okay.
I'm okay. So you're listening to Dilly, Dallying, and Dollyworld. This is Saturday. It is January 2nd of the new year 2016. And I have on as many hosts as I could get to come on that I could even think of. My house has been very, very rambunctious for the last 3 days because I have a house full of company that includes a 3-year-old little boy. So we have Nancy. We have Nancy of the Shungite. We have Barb 3 Crow. And we have Colleen of the producer. And we are going to have JP whenever he can get here. And I'm not forgetting anybody, am I?
Don't think so. Dave.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to have Dave. He hasn't quite gotten here yet. He says he's on his way. And we have me. And I thought this would be a good way to start the new year off with all of our, with these hosts that are here so that we can kind of wrap up the old year and look forward to the new year. And we're going to stay positive. We're not going to have any negativity come in here because I'm not allowing negativity to be entertained in any way. We aren't going to share energies with negativity. We're just going to march on forward with the good stuff and give the good energies out to the universe and everybody living in it.
Well, I took a pregnancy test and it come back negative, so is that positive?
That's a positive negative.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Why did you take a pregnancy test?
I didn't. I just lied and made that
She's
up.
had sex and she's bragging.
Oh, sure. I'm a nun.
And none of that?
And none of that sort of thing. Yep.
So is Barb with us?
I haven't heard from Barb. Are you?
She's in the chat room.
Oh, there I am. I was muted.
Okay, I was wondering.
I was laughing at your pregnancy test and none of this and none of that stuff and talking to you all, but nobody's hearing me. So that's pretty typical. Happy to be here.
Good. I'm glad you all joined me. I didn't want to bug you all, because it is the holiday season, but then I was sitting here feeling guilty because I hadn't been on live for quite a while over the holidays. And so I thought, well, I need to get my butt out there and get it on the air. But I didn't know exactly what to talk about, but I've been having the heavy thoughts on let's wrap up the old and bring in the new. So when I got, a Skype thing from Nancy today, I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and ask people? They can only say no. So you all said yes, and I'm glad you're here. And poor Walt. Walt can't be with us because he's sick. We need to be sending him good healing. We need to send him good energies. And for those of you who pray, please pray for Walt's recovery. And whatever you do, please send him healing stuff. Because I guess he's been sick for a week, and Nancy said he sounds horrible. So we need to be thinking about him and picturing him in good health.
Yeah, don't worry about him. Just send him the energy because, well, I told him he lousy advertisement for Shungite that he's sick. But, for all we know, he's processing energy for everybody. That's the connectedness that we all have, is that, like I came down with shingles and I don't get sick. It's simply the way I am. JP says it's because I have a high ray in my physical body. But, it's like anytime I feel off or whatever, I always look to the energies. What's happening around me? What's happening to me? Is there some energetic thing? And Walt went there in his head too. And, he asked his guides about it, and his mom did, pendulum work, and they got that you're just processing energy. And, I think that sometimes that happens, is that people that are out there doing really, on the edge kind of work as far as energies and propelling us into the new reality, sometimes we're the ones that are strong enough to process a lot of the gunk that's out there. And a lot of you are the strong ones because you wouldn't be here if you couldn't handle what's happening. And you may be also encountering like, I don't feel good, what is this, and it could be something that you're just doing for everybody else. And if you're not just doing it for everybody else, well, make it that. I went through shingles. Nobody else has to do this. I did this for you. Dolly ended up doing it for you. Another friend of mine did it for you. We don't have to keep doing these things. That's the power of the new age, in my opinion. The new world we're coming into is that we have to take charge. And we can do this. This is what we were designed to do. This is what we were put here to do, is to take charge. And that means even for something like you got the sniffles, like Colleen's been sick, and she says she doesn't think she's processing anybody else's energies, but we never know.
She could be. Just
everything that happens for reasons. It's all tangled into one, and it's.
No, what I said was I didn't think my illness had to do with my ascension process. All right. See, I say that, and to Skype, well, my internet did some weird crap. Hold on just a moment, everybody, while we get our signal back, and it appears to be coming back. Well, two of the computers appear to have. Are we back?
Oh,
I am anyway.
Barb,
you there?
I am.
All right.
Oh, good.
Good.
See, we're talking about shingles, and Nancy's taking shingles on for the rest of us, and the universe kind of did us in there. Well, not the universe.
They just wiped out shingles, Look, we can't underestimate our own powers, is what I'm getting to. And, it's much more fun if you think in terms of the big picture rather than, oh my God, I feel sick, oh, poor me, think of it in a different way.
I think it's important that we start using our energy, as you're talking about too, Nancy, and our energy and our minds in a conscious way, and to be grateful. If we feel sick or something's going on with us, we tend to go into the doom and gloom and the negative, And I think it's important, and it would be very helpful if we use gratitude and just taking what you're saying, that I'm doing this for others, okay? I have this purpose, a strong countenance, and Creator put me here to help others. And keeping that in mind, what you were sharing about how you feel, I'm doing this for other people. I believe that because we are also connected, but I think it's important that not to go into the doom and gloom, but go into the gratitude that we're able to help others. And And also give gratitude to our body, and allow that different focus of positiveness rather than doom and gloom and I hate this and oh, this is awful and yucky. But help your body move that stuff out. And as we are vessels, we are the containers and vessels to utilize that understanding of what it means to be a vessel. That's just my little...
Okay, you guys, Dave has arrived.
So that's just my little perception. Hi,
Thank
Dave.
you for sharing that, Barb.
Hi, Dave.
He's sticking his butt in my face as he situates his chair the way he wants it. And he's laughing.
Well, we got your butt back on the air. I guess Dave wants his butt back on the air.
He says, you're doing a bang-up job, ladies, and you have been all along. And he's very happy with us and with the way things have been going. And just a minute. Stop it. You get over there and sit in your chair. Okay, had to get his little pinch in for the new year. I haven't seen him in a while. Where have you been, Dave? Let's discuss where have you been lately. Well, okay, we don't have to discuss details. Just give me generalities. You're so ornery. He has been off working on the place where Walt was at one time and saw Dave, and he's not going into details about it, but he's all excited. He says they're making that place better, and and they're preparing it for a lot of people who will be helping the rest of us out there who are on the other side, and they're going to be bringing, not gas, what's the right word? I can't hear it. They're going to be having visitors from us on this side. Like when Walt went, he says, I use Walt for an example. When Walt went over to that place and visited for a while, they're going to bring people like they did with Walt. They're going to introduce them first to the place, and then the people will be integrated in with the people who are there on that side, in that dimension, working on this humongous, whatever it is, benefit to us. And so, wait, don't go so fast on me, okay? He's showing me all these pictures. He's so excited that I'm getting inundated with pictures. That they're going to be helping to send souls to the earth who are going to be arriving in human form. He says both as babies and as walk-ins from their area, from that area where he is, so that they can come into the flesh and help us with what they've gained from over there and help us in the flesh with all their abilities that they're gonna bring with them. And so he's excited about that. Okay, I get your excitement. He says he's very happy with the way things went throughout 2015. We had our spats, but he says that's because we're family. Of course, we're going to disagree on things and all have different ideas, but some of it is just silliness because our egos of thoughts get in the way. But most of it is the different thoughts that we have is on purpose, because we're being brought together so we can put all these thoughts together and come up with something new. And he says there's going to be a lot of new in 2016, and it's going to be good new. He's showing me like 2016 is all wrapped up in a pretty package with a bow on it. And we're going to be taking the bow off and unwrapping the package and opening it up and taking things out. And all this involves, every step of opening the package involves something new is happening. Something new is in the process of happening. And we're going to put, and the other newness is developmental and will grow into what it's supposed to be as the year goes on. Oh, he says we're all pretty little packages ourselves. He says, JP's not a pretty package, but you ladies are. Now, doesn't that sound like Dave? He wants, oh geez, JP's not here yet. Alright, we're supposed to remember to ask JP, what's with that hair on the face? He understands growing hairs long because he was doing that. But, hair's on the head, but JP needs to trim up his fuzzy hairs on his face. Does he have fuzzy hairs now, ladies? Have you seen him?
Well, he's got kind of a long beard, but he's in Scotland. You gotta keep the neck warm.
He needs to trim it up. He says that we're gonna struggle. WSR is going to do a little struggling, but by the end of the year, we should be going good. Bigger than what we ever thought we would. Why are we struggling so much, Dave? Because we're getting rid of some of the old yet. We have to get rid of some of the old energies yet. And some of the old energies involves people who are going to come into WSR and try to cause us, consternation is not the word. I can't get the right word. He's showing me a bowl that's being mixed up.
Stirring up the mess.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Stirring it up. Stirring things up.
Yeah, and he says we have to weed through all that. And he says don't get nasty with them, show them love, and if they persist in trying to stir up a hornet's nest, get rid of them. He says Colleen's got the power.
That's why you gave me that iron skillet, huh?
Yes.
Is this like trolls that get in on the chat or what?
I think it's going to be a mixture.
Yeah, it's a mixture. It's regular, ordinary people, but he's showing me it's not just ordinary people. He says it's not government type people. It's others who have been influenced with bad beings, with bad energies coming from bad beings. So it's coming not just from Earth, we're being inundated yet because so many people are waking up now that the ones who have been trying to influence us with all the bad stuff are being exposed, and they're scared. And people who do shows like WSR are going to be hit hard, and we need to all stick together. Not just the WSR peoples, the wolf pack sticking together, but we need to join the other independent stations and join forces and stick together and hold tight. Boy, you're so serious. He says, but it's positive stuff. He needs to tell us this so that we're prepared and we can start joining forces in a more stronger way than what we interact with them now on. Okay. So the new year coming up is, he's saying it's kind of in preparation for the year that follows. For what year follows? 2017. And 2018 is going to be huge. He says 2018 is huge. But he's not going to say any more than that. He's just showing me firecrackers in 2018. 2016 is going to be a lot of hard work, but it's going to be very good hard work. 2017 is going to start showing the fruits of 2016. But he says 2016 is going to be the most exciting part because things are going to start to appear. The curtains are going to open up. They're going to be torn from windows and doorways and passageways. And we're going to start seeing things that they don't want us to see. And that's why they're so scared. Okay. You got anything more fun? No. That's his business. That he says that's the business part. That's the business end of the deal, Dolly. He's telling me I already did that. He says now you can go pee and he can take a break for us. Okay, he's throwing the fun parts in. Remember he used to stop the show so I could go pee?
Is that a hint?
No, I don't need to. I told him I already did it. No, he's just in a festive mood. Oh, wait, he's changing chairs now. He just kind of picked his leather chair up and threw it up in the air, and it disappeared, and in came his cushy chair. And he's sticking his butt in the air, arranging it, sticking his butt in my face, arranging his chair. Okay, now he's going to settle in for the rest of the show, and he says, go for it, girls.
Can I ask him a question, Dolly? Because the concept of this place that Walt went to and ran into Dave, that fascinates me because I've said to people that there's some people you don't want to take out of the 3D because they'll be much more powerful on the other side. And is that what's happening? Is that those people that chose to leave the 3D because they knew they could be more influential are now being given the opportunity to interact with those of us that have been left behind, so to speak, to kind of like work in coordination. What they can give us on the other side, is certainly a more strategic look at stuff, but also, a more pure energy, read because they're simply not locked into a lot of the 3D stuff. Is that what he's referring to? That he will, that people are actually going to end up being there and in a very, let's say, almost lucid dream type of thing, or that they are just getting together to coordinate on their side, their individual, let's say, powers to help those of us that are here working this side?
He says that, okay, there's multiple answers for you. The people from here that are going to be sort of like a lucid dream thing and go over there are going to be learning how to use their abilities that some of them are dormant and some of them they're beginning to learn about. They're going to be put in an area where they can learn how to use what they have, where they can experiment with it and learn how to fine-tune it so that they can fulfill their mission here. Because when they came here, they came with that mission in mind that they were going to at one point awaken to their mission here and be able to help whatever is it their talent is in helping us to see things for what they are and how to deal with these things. And he said that when they go over to that place where Walt was, they're going to be able to have kind of like a free rein to play with their ability, to learn more about it and fine tune it and come, and when they are lucid here, here in this, not in a dream, but in reality, then they can use that for our benefit. There are those who are already there who have never been to Earth before. They've never been to any other planets before. They've always just been. And they have always been involved with not just Earth humans, but with other beings. Some of them are involved with all beings. Some of them are involved with just the beings from that planet to try to I don't know how to say it, Dave. I can see it, yes. Don't get so ornery. Show it to me a different way. Okay, so the ones who are working, they're trying to help us realize what we have in our own planets and how the planets, all the beings can work together for this huge, magnificent, he says it's bigger than a universe, is all he can. It's all I know how to say it is we're working toward this humongous goal where all beings are going to be able to interact with everybody, with each other. And it's going to be like a utopia, he said. And it's going to be good. And there's going to be a place for the people who want to, who can't get out of themselves, who want to be rulers and controllers and do bad things to people. He says there's going to be a special place for those people, and we're all going to help to keep them by giving our good energies. We're going to help to keep them away. Wherever it is they're going, they have to go to that area. They can't be with the rest of the beings. So this huge complex is the word he's showing me that they're working on has many different facets in it, and he can't give me details, and he says he's not gonna. He says Nancy's gonna have to cool it and just accept that we're getting a lot of help from those people. He can't give her details. He says you're a detail-oriented person. And he's showing me that they're gonna block your vision, you know, how you travel, how you see things. They aren't going to let you see things there. So you may as well not even try, he said. Well, I'm sure she'll try. I know Nancy, she can try. Aren't you, Nancy?
I'm assuming he means that I'm not going to be able to travel to the place that he's talking about.
No, you can't go there at all, but you can't see it either.
No, I've already tried.
Oh, have you? That's why he's giggling so much.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. So hearing what Dave is explaining about that, would there be a time then? Is that time going to be at some point where Nancy, for instance, just using Nancy, would be able to see and
he says
look?
no.
No.
There are only certain individuals, souls, beings who will be there because that place is a special place with special things that have to be, that will end up helping all beings in planets and universes. And only, he said, if we open the door to anyone and everyone, then we'd get in the bad. We'd get in things that aren't really bad, but things that aren't pure and what? That will have some dirt in them is what he's showing me, that can taint things that are going on there. So only certain beings will be allowed at this place, and they'll be traveling back and forth. He's showing me traveling back and forth between that place and planets and beings. They're getting down to minute things like working with me, for an example. They're going to be working with me individually, with you individually. They're going to be working with nature. They're going to be like even the little teeny ants that you see crawling on the floor. They're going to be working with even those that will benefit all.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
Just to clarify, to get a little more clarity, I'm surmising, and I'm not sure if I'm correct, that in my understanding of things, as I try to understand things, is that there are certain people who have come here to the earth to do certain things, to do specific things. And then there are others on the other side also, in those other realms, who are in positions to do certain things, or we could say agreements to do certain things. Might that be what this is referring to, that there are, each one of us here and everyone has certain agreements that we're taking part in, that we're being used for by the greater one, and that to keep a focus on that and not be in, I guess I'd say, not attempt to be involved in something that it doesn't really align with our purpose or position in the greater cosmic system, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'm just trying to listen to him, Barb. He's listening to your question. I'm not.
No, I know. I'm
trying to listen to him and see the pictures he's showing me.
Yep.
He says some people, for example, here on Earth, some people have just come to play. Some people have come to learn, to better their knowledge on what it's like to be in a human body on the planet Earth and experience dirt in their toes. Some people have come because they've got these huge egos where they think they're going to take over. He said, giving them breath is a waste of time in his opinion. But it has to happen. I don't know why he says it has to happen. He says that other people, not people, beings. I'm trying, hold on. Everyone has come with a reason, and there have been agreements made prior to. In the beginning, is what he's saying. We were all there in the beginning. We decided we wanted to attempt something. What we're living now, I guess. And all of us have made agreements with others, and we tended to make group agreements as well as individual agreements with people, with beings in other groups, to bring all of this together in harmony. But because of the end result of this utopia thing, we have to go through these different phases, these different steps, these different, for lack of a different word, time phases to get the knowledge that people have all wanted to get, their reason for going on this big adventure. We have to go through all this stuff. And that's it. That's all I'm getting about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm trying to read what's here now. What y'all want? Wait a minute. Okay, I'm trying to go back and see what, if y'all ask me, a planet where they can all play king for a day. I guess so. Soul agreements. Yes, soul agreements. And not just here with the people on Earth, but, he says that, wait a minute, say that again. He says, when we have weird dreams, he says that it's not that the dreams are weird, it's just that we, in this form, do not understand when we're interacting with the other beings that aren't from this planet. But that is when we do the interacting with these other beings, is when we're when we're doing what we call dreaming. He says, you're all right. When you say you feel like you went to a school, you did. And it's not just a school that you're going to, but you're also interacting with the other beings that you've made, that you know and you want to be with. You don't want to be away from them for the whole time you're in the body that you're in now, for instance.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Because, there was a period of time when I felt like every time I went to sleep, I was in school all night, and I'd wake up going like, wow, thinking I learned so much, but trying to recall any of it, it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah. He says we aren't supposed to recall it all the way most of the time. Sometimes, yes, we're supposed to recall it because we forgot something and we need to know it in order to carry on with what we're doing. So sometimes, yeah, we wake up with full knowledge or something triggers it.
Can I tell you a story about that? Because I don't do lucid dreaming, but anybody that's listened to Walt knows that he'll get into binges of lucid dreaming where he's like, I can't even get a night's sleep. I don't do that, but this was about 3 weeks ago, I guess now. I went to the post office and I had a shipment of shungite coming in, and I had the thing from the post office saying that I had to go pick it up. So I go there, and after, pretty near a half an hour, they cannot find this box of shungite. It's got to be a very large box. Then they find out that it's been shipped back to where it started. And I'm going like, why? And they're saying, well, it says that the address is undeliverable. They don't know where the address is. I said, I've been living there for 30 years. What's this all about? And it was very confusing. But I come home and I was like, okay, I'm going to lay down, and I'm just going to lay down. And I lay down and I immediately fell asleep. And I went into an incredible lucid dream where I was back at exactly where I left the post office. I was back at the post office again. She's explaining to me they can't find it. Now at this point, there's a morphing in the post office, and instead of being a wall to my right, there's now an opening to my right. And this guy comes out and he looks at me and he says, Nancy, it's Marty. And I'm going like, oh, I don't know who this guy is, but he seems to know me. So I'm going, oh, hi, how are you? You know how you do.
Yeah.
And so then I follow him out this right side of this building now to the back. And we're like under, like where trucks would come in and unload, something like that, like a loading dock thing. And I'm talking to him, and there's two other guys there now. And I'm showing him shungite. But instead of pulling out a shungite like the diamond, like the refrigerator diamond, it's still in the mold. And so I'm looking at it and I go, okay, so I start to take it out of the mold, and as I take it out of the mold morphs into a cube, and then all this liquid starts coming out of the top of the cube, and then it exploded. And I'm like, what? And I actually, look away from the thing, and there's all these particles of white stuff all over the place. And when I turned around, Marty's gone, the two people are gone, but the whole building is now a different building. There is no loading dock. It's the back of a building that has no entrance. And I go around to the front, and it's not the post office anymore. Well, to make a long dream very short, I proceeded to go, at one point in the dream, I said, I have been walking around for 3 hours. 5 hours, I said. 5 hours. And it was one bizarre experience after the other. It was a street that I was very familiar with. The post office was on that street. When I would ask somebody, I'd also lost my car. In the middle of this, I lost the parking lot with the post office, so my car is now lost also. So I'm also searching for my car. And I come across these people, and I'd say, what happened to the post office? Oh, well, they changed it. And I said, well, where is it? Well, they moved it. Well, why you moved to build it? Where is it? And everybody knew where it was, but nobody could find it. And then it got to the point where I said, well, this is crazy. I've got to go to the police. And so, I said, where's the police station? Now I know where the police station is, but now I'm so, don't know what I'm doing anymore. And they said, oh, it's across the street. And I look, now this highway that I'm very familiar with is a 6-lane highway. I mean, it's like residential, but it's like all these cars are always there, and there was no cars there. At one point there was like 4 dogs playing in the street, freaking me out. My dog was in the dream, but he wouldn't come to me. He kept going around on it, like about 10 feet around me, doing circles. And I'd see him once in a while, I'd focus on him and he would be still there. And so this police building was not a building at all, it was a desk. And there was a big, like a cobblestone, area all around it. And that was as bizarre as it gets. I mean, another bizarre kind of thing. And finally, I mean, there was a guy that picked up a motorcycle and folded it in half. And I mean, just the most amazing things, but I'm totally lucid in this thing. And finally, I'm like, I get so thirsty, I'm like dying. I've been 5 hours walking in the sun, trying to find my car. I mean, it was just awful. And I woke up suddenly in such a sudden way that I actually said the F word. What the? Because it was like I'd never experienced anything in my life like this. And it was like 2 hours had gone by. And so then I'm telling Walt the story, and Walt, he's always got an answer. And he says, well, do you know that and I have to get him to tell more about this, but, cause he has so many more details than I can even remember. But he said, well, every post office is, set on a particular ley line, that every government building is put in a PowerPoint, of the ley lines, and that there are symbolic, magical symbols that are built into all of them. He said, somehow or another, you must have had a confrontation with all that energy. He said, I just hope you broke its spell. I'm going like, okay, but there's an example of what he was saying, Dave was saying, is that sometimes you get into these things and you may be doing something that is very, very important, but as a 3D person, you're going like, what is this all about? But the reality of where I see us going is that I can have an insane dream like this, a lucid dream, but I've got Walt to explain it to me. Prior to 2015, we were sort of like all these individuals that were coming together. But I saw a cohesion happen in 2015 where people you ask a question, people have been saying to me, manifestation is happening faster. It's like you ask a question and boom, you get the answer much faster. So, I don't know, but the weirdest thing about this whole story, I'm trying to remember exactly the details. I really want to recall the details of this. So I'm playing it through my head. And I'm doing dishes. I'm washing dishes. And I get to the guy named Marty. And I look at him and I went, oh my God. Marty is Marty Martin from my book, the nonfiction, Night of the Crusade. And when I realized that this was the character, I had goose pimples all over my body like I have never had in my life.
Uh-huh.
It was one of the freakiest things that's ever happened to me. But anyway, it reminded me when you were talking that Dave was talking about lucid dreams.
Nancy, I'm wondering if the Shungite had something to do with that, because it is on a ley line, and the power of the Shungite, maybe it shifted everything out of whack or something into a different dimension.
Absolutely. And Walt said to me, he said, the Shungite is not lost.
I didn't
think
so.
that was that.
Yeah.
No, actually, that was the second time I went. The first time the thing had been shipped back. The second time it was to pick up a box from Walt. That's right. And that box had more Shungite magnets in it with the S4 in it than we had ever shipped before. And he said, it's not lost. He said, it's sitting there. He said, I guarantee you it's in the truck.
I felt that too when you were talking. So maybe you should send little packages of Shungite to all the, all the federal buildings. Maybe we can just eliminate all of them off of the earth.
Well, Nancy, do you live on a ley line?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This property, I live in a very strange, I live in Miami, all right, which is one of the most desirable places in the world. But within this little, one of the major city areas of anywhere, there is 6 acres that are residential houses, and that you can only have one house on it because the acres are long and narrow and so you don't have access. So by zoning code, you can't have another house. So I'm living on an acre where my neighbors are an acre or two away from me in the middle of a city. I mean, a major metropolitan area. And I was led here. I mean, the manipulation that occurred for me to buy this property is a long story, but it was like obvious to me even then, and this was back in '86, that something was manipulating me. I felt it. I'm going like, what is happening? I don't even want to buy this property. Why am I involved in it? And then when I started living here, I began to be introduced at a very, very quick rate with a lot of metaphysical thought. At one point, one of the most powerful shamans in the United States, he's been trained by 6 tribes, was on this property. You know, I mean, it was drawing people that were just, I mean, one of the Teo shamans was here. And what it is that the Atlantean Merkaba Power Center, okay, was underwater and was also, we found out later, cockeyed and couldn't be used, for the changes that the planet needed to have to be able to balance. And so they artificially jumped that point to a point in my yard, which we call the Merkaba. And from that point, amazing energy work has been done for the last 30 years. So this is a very, very powerful. People that come on this property they won't get halfway down the driveway before they're absolutely stoned. Because
wow.
Yeah, people come here and they don't want to leave. and anybody that's here for the first time will probably fall asleep.
Man.
They just pass out. They can't.
I had that happen too.
At your place?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they get us on PowerPoints. I mean, like Barbara is in an amazing place. You know, same situation. They have light workers that are sent to certain power places to be able to work the grid.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to figure out if I'm on a ley line.
I suspect you are. You wouldn't be where you are if there wasn't a purpose for it. Even Pauline.
You know, that's true because I didn't even want to buy this house.
Yeah.
My sister came to me and she said, I have a house that you have to buy. And I was renting in this cute little apartment with a corner toilet. Only corner toilet in Venice is what I was told, and I loved it. Well, and it was right after I had had my 5 bypass surgery and I had the NDE. So she comes, she said, you have to come now. She took me in my pajamas and my bathrobe and she brought me over here to look at this house. I didn't like it because the kitchen was that puke green. And I didn't want to buy a house because I didn't want the responsibility of what comes along with buying a house and fixing shit up. And I didn't want to buy it. And so my mom and dad were out somewhere and my sister gets me back in the car. We track my parents down, bring them over here because Cindy's saying, you have to help her buy this house. My parents gave me $10,000 a piece. So it would be $20,000 to put toward this house so that I could purchase this house that I kept telling them, I don't want it. And ever since we've lived here, it's been a revolving door. My house always has revolving doors on it. People come and people go, living with me stuff. But every time people come here, the first time they get so frickin' relaxed, they nod off. And then when they come back, they look at me and they say, I don't want to leave. This house, it's so peaceful here. Yeah. And I say, well, I insist on it. I have angels who come in and out of here. It's gotta be a peaceful place.
Well, there's a UFO, would be a UFO, but there is a group of ETs that sit above the property all the time.
Wow.
Continually monitoring it.
Well, I have the same, yeah.
Yeah, they just sit there. And, then there's 5 trees that have been put in the ground because of the 5 archangels that virtually hang out here. You know, just like your house, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, anytime I need them or want them, and sometimes they show up when I'm least expecting them. But the nature spirits, because what happened when I got here, it was basically desert with a few oak trees and a few pine trees and a couple of poinciana trees. Now this place is such a jungle that at one time the county had my property listed as a vacant lot because they couldn't see the house. I said, I'm here.
I have the same thing with where I live here. It's the forest on the other side of the road here is where the first UFO came up out of the hidden valley there that I saw. This is ET UFO country here, big time in the Hudson Valley. But there's the Manitou here, the Sacred Mountains, many sacred sites, big population of First Nations people here before Europeans came, and also in that forest I've had my tremendous experiences with the nature spirits, with the little people, with the fairy nations, all kinds of beings. So, I hadn't thought about on a ley line particularly, but this is a very powerful area here for sure.
Incredible.
I lived like just 10 minutes away from where Whitley Strieber had his first encounters, where he had his first abduction experience. This is a little cabin over in High Falls. It's just 10 minutes from me here. That's where I also had my first abduction experience when I was 4 here, not far from him.
Wow.
Was it the same sort of abduction, or was it, did you read his book and go, oh, that happened?
My first experience was when I was 4. And in New Paltz. I grew up there. I was born in a New Paltz area, and then we just moved like 10 miles here in Maple Hill, which is really in the same area, Whitley Strieber from New Paltz, and Whitley Strieber's over the mountain, the Shongonk Mountains, which is interesting. It's almost like Shongite. It's the Shongon is the word of the First Nations people here, very sacred mountains, and he's over on the other side of the mountain from New Paltz. Now I'm closer actually. It's pretty much the same distance, except the mountain's not between us from High Falls, where his cabin was. My first experience was 4 in New Paltz with the reptilians, and many other nature beings, of course, growing up there too. But when we moved here to Maple Hill, where I am now at present, in the 50s. That was when I had the first sighting of the UFO coming out of a hidden valley across the way, and many other profound experiences in that area too. So, but no, he didn't have reptilian experiences. And I read his book. I had to be in my late 30s, and his book just brought me to tears because I realized that, the first book, Communion, somebody handed it to me because we were just happened to be talking about our weird experiences, strange experiences, and she asked if I read it, and I said no. So it just brought me to tears because it really validated a lot of my own experiences, especially the secret school piece. Reading about his talking about, and there's other information about the secret school, because that's okay. Yeah, I'd been taken to that secret school from the time I could remember. And also knowing that I wasn't crazy and that there were a lot of other people out there like myself.
That's what he brought everybody out there.
Yeah.
You can't underestimate the power that this man's book brought.
Absolutely. He opened the doorway for a lot of people to speak their truth, to tell their story, to finally be free of the fears and the shame and the confusion about what they'd experienced, what was really going on. What I liked about what happened to him was his first experiences seemed to be quite terrifying. My initial experiences, well, the first one, of course, with the reptilians when I was 4 was scary, of course, but from that point on, I've not had any terrifying experiences, but it seemed to me, now I don't know if if I'm right on, reading his books later on, he seemed to come more into a spiritual connectedness to this whole ET thing. That was my perception. What do you think about that?
I think that he doesn't know if they were ETs or if they were dimensional beings or if he had been brainwashed by the military.
He's still in that frame of mind?
Yes, because Colleen and I listened to his weekly show. Right. And he has just gone, to the point of saying, look, I really don't know what it is. It could be all of it. But we have to look at all of it to understand any of it.
Well, I think he's right, absolutely. And I think that there is that brainwashing, manipulation going on, and abduction by the government. But I also, in my own experience, my own personal experience from a 4-year-old on, I can only say that I feel very strongly that it had nothing to do with the government. Now may be different. Now I know I'm being watched, now I know, like you guys probably are and others doing this work and speaking the truth and so on, and what we're involved in. I've had, the unmarked, helicopters hovering over my house, and various other things, strange clickings on my phone and, all that type of stuff. But as far as any kind of abductions by the government, I have not had any of that. I'm because I have, and this may make a difference for me personally and in relation to Whitley, I don't know, but I have a very strong spiritual, connectedness. And that may be a difference. I don't know. I have no idea.
No, I think, there are some people that, are protected in ways that I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
There's certain people that they don't dare touch.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't care to touch. I don't know, what it is, but I know that there are many people out there that had I been on the other side, I would have probably gotten them out of the picture, but they're not out of the picture. So, I don't know. Colleen is.
Yeah,
let's do this. Let's take a break. Yeah, I'm sorry. Take over your show.
Yeah, really. I was just going to say that. Let's take a break here, ladies.
Let's take a break here so we can read what she just posted, because if I had to stop and read this, I wouldn't, So let's do that. Colleen, can you do that? Put some music on. We'll take a 5-minute or 10-minute break or whatever and read what you just posted.
Also, when we come back, I would like to discuss, because Barb said she had that reptilian visit thing. I would like to discuss my reptilian experience recently and see if that has any connections there.
Okay.
Alrighty then. I'm going to put on one of Dolly's favorite things. It seems like I play it with this show every time.
Oh, cool.
Guardian Angel.
I love it.
All right. See you in about 6 minutes.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are back.
Okay, so, sounds like your say what is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think so, if we can get him on. But even if not, I still think it's some topics that are well discussed.
Yeah. So hang in there with us, folks, because after this, it's going to be another interesting topic. So I want to tie in with what Barb was saying, because I got all excited about this. She had reptilian visitation stuff. And I just recently had my snake experience. The snake it came down out of another dimension. But he was a real snake in this life. Landed on my head, landed on my arm, he fell down my legs, touched my knees, on my bottom legs, and my feet, and landed on the ground in front of me. But there's nowhere in the world that he could have been sitting to fall on me from. I mean, all the company that I have here now, my son, his girlfriend, and her daughter and her boyfriend, no one, and my dad, my daughter, no one can see any place where that snake could have come from. Everyone says the same thing. Even people who don't believe it. It had to come from a different dimension. So, could this reptile be tied in with, like, other people's experiences with reptilian beings? Could it be some kind of a message? I still would like to make sense out of that.
Well, I think things like that are very profound. Like you say, there's no place where that snake could have been hanging on a tree branch or nothing like that. It just came out of the ethers, like. And yes, it appears to us, these things appear to us as real, creatures, real beings, like little, it could be a snake, it could be a skunk, it could be anything. And I feel a profound experience like that. There's always a message. There's always a reason. There's something going on there, in the way of, my tradition or First Nations tradition, and what I know from my own experiences as well, is that there's a message behind this type of thing, and it's something that we have to discern. We have to find out, okay, why did this creature fall on my head? The snake, for instance. Now, of course, snake represents, typically, transmutation. They transmute continually. They're constantly shedding the old and rebirthing themselves. That's the way of the snake people. Now, if you're saying, is there a connectedness to, a reptilian beings, that's something aside from, what I would just automatically say, well, a snake represents transmutation, and it tells us that what we believe or think is something poisonous that will kill us. In fact, Spirit or Creator, God, is telling us that we have the power and the ability to transmute anything, all things that appear that they would do us harm or poisonous to us. That's the message of a snake, for instance. There's other levels to it as well.
Well, that makes sense to me because I am transmuting.
Yes, you are.
And the little snake wanted to come in and visit with me. I mean, he poked his head up and he's looking at me and he was trying to angle his way into my house.
Trying to see you, yeah. Come to you, yeah.
And he had that look on his face like, I want to come in and visit. And I was too terrified. I was afraid.
I have a friend who has had many, many snakes come to her. I mean, they practically live in her house. She lives in a very old home with a stone foundation. And, she's constantly inundated with snakes, and they freak her out, drive her crazy. She's terrified of them. But
I am too.
But this person who the snakes are visiting, she needs to get straight with herself. She needs to wake up. She needs to get grounded. She's all over the place. She's so ungrounded, and she needs a focus, and she needs to transmute some of the old stuff that is running her life. That's the message. Okay, and until she gets the message, the snakes will keep coming to give her the message. That's usually the case. It's like we keep falling in the same pothole over and over and over again, or running into the same brick wall.
Well, my feeling is more the snake was happy with progress that I've made.
That's what I got when you told me about that. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the other part of the message. It's a validation. But you need to discern that on your own. So it's like nothing to be terrified of. It's like to, ask or feel what this seems to you like. And your feeling is that there was this gladness or happiness.
Yeah.
To me, that's like a validation. Well, all signs like this are validations, but you have to discern what they're validating.
Huh.
So that felt right to me when you said that. Yeah.
Very
The only thing I could say is it's up to us to find out if there are any latent things that are hanging on, like any belief or fear, for instance, of something doing you in or unsettling, and that might be part of it as well. So it's just a reminder, for instance, that you have all the power and Creator, God is there on your side and helping you not to be not to be in fear.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Can I jump in here? I want to
yes.
Because snake magic or medicine is just so profound. Because before the snake sheds its skin, as it's beginning to shed the skin, there is this, like film, like cloudiness that happens in their eyes.
Yes.
And so just before they transmutate into this new skin, they go blind. And to me, that's such a profound message. It's like we go through life and we get to a point where we're essentially blind. Even though we've been progressing, we're essentially blind because we cannot yet see the amazing things that's about to happen. And then all of a sudden you transmute and you can see again. And it's a whole new reality. It's a whole new world. To me, that's the way that we progress through if we're paying attention to what's happening around us, is that we are continually going through the shedding of skin. The snake does it very obviously. But
also,
go ahead.
Yeah. Also, like what you're bringing up reminds me of the fact that we are at times completely blind about things. Not literally, but then our eyes are open, or then we see the light. That's our continuing transitioning, of movement, of growing, of becoming who we really are meant to be. So that also reminds me of that.
Well, going back to Whitley, because he seems to be a theme, he is calling this particular 2016 the year of awakening.
Yes, well, that's what the prophecy is. I've been talking about that for quite a few years. It's the fifth world, the age of enlightenment. Well, awakening, enlightenment, yeah. And I totally believe in that, Nancy.
Yes, and I think that because one of the things that I can sort of see, sense, or whatever, is how people are awakening. And they're talking about the snake and thinking about it, because I remember one time being out in the yard and seeing a snake that looked blind to me. And I was freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, how could the snake be doing, and then found out that means he's about to shed, Oh, thank God. Because I couldn't imagine how he could even see. And he didn't seem to be seeing right because I was very close to him. And he didn't seem aware of me.
Well, I have a very strong relationship with the snake people. That's one of my medicines that I work with, and I've actually called them to come to my yard here because people in the neighborhood, especially a couple houses down, were constantly having these beautiful, well, they're called rat snakes, but they're the black snakes. They're harmless, beautiful. And her dogs would attack them and kill them, and she'd carry them off and so on. So I called them in the way I work with energies and, of course, offerings and talking to the beings to come, because here my property is safe, and I'd look out for them and they would be, okay here. And they did. They started to show up. They left me their skins first to show me they were coming. And then they did. They started coming here, So, I want to talk about the reptilian, cause I'm not sure if, I'm not specifically saying, Dolly, that because that snake appeared to you, that it has something to do with the reptilian beings. Mm-hmm. It's very possible, but that's something that you could find out.
Well, you helped to settle my mind on it, bringing up the transitional stuff. Nancy had said it before. Yeah. I know she did, but it didn't really because I was so fearful still at that point. It couldn't get into me.
Yeah.
But now with you saying that, I can connect it all together, and now I'm at peace with the snake.
All right, well, good, because it is about the transmuting, not transitioning. It's about the transmuting.
Yeah.
The terms are transmuting poisons, because we look at snakes and we get terrified of them and we think they're poisonous, but we also have other fears inside of ourselves, fears of things, unseen things, and usually the things we fear don't even happen, they don't even come to fruition. So basically the message is that we have the ability and the power with those that are with us, the holy ones, the sacred ones that are with us too, helping us and protecting us and so on and so forth. And of course it's what we have within ourselves as well, the power that we do have. And this is the age of enlightenment or awakening is about our coming to understand who we really truly are, the powers that we do have, the gifts that we were given, basically, to enter into this new paradigm, which is a higher frequency, a higher understanding of ourselves as, well, I'll use the term sacred beings, but if you think of sacred beings or holy beings, the power, the abilities that they did have, this is what we're talking about.
Well, that all kind of ties into what Dave was saying.
Yeah.
The curtains are going to be opened and taken down and stuff like that. We're going to start to see stuff.
Yeah, the film in front of our eyes disappear. The veils are going to be, floating away, moving away, being awakening. That's what that is. So I just want to say about you wanted to say something?
No, go ahead.
About the reptilian thing, because the reptilian thing is, I think it's pretty known, prevalently expressed by people that the reptilians' civilization are the dark ones. And I don't agree with that. Because I believe that there is benevolent and malevolent in all things. There's the dark and the light in every part of creation. And I think, in one of Whitley's books, now I don't think this was his personal accounts, it was a fictional book, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a story about reptilians in a different dimension, and people, I guess they were either they were on Earth or on another place, but there were reptilians that were helping these human people. I don't know if you guys read that book, if you remember that.
Mm-mm.
And they were also being attacked by their own kind that were the dark kinds. And he downloaded that into a book. But anyway, my personal experience, because I was 4 years old and these beings showed up in my room, I was terrified, of course. But later on in my life, I had what I call a waking dream. This is the way I explain, this is my language. Waking dream means that you are present in this dream. It is not a dream. Okay. It's you're in another realm, or you're moved into a parallel experience or whatever, but it's a waking. It's not a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was here's how it went. I think I was seeing into the future. I was in an old barn. I was looking between the slats of the barn. You know how some of these old barns, they're just like, little spaces. I was looking between the wooden slats and I was looking outside. It was very dark outside. There was a ship on the ground, and lined up going and entering into the ship were hundreds and hundreds of people. They all seemed to be mesmerized. Now, when I say mesmerized, they seemed to be hypnotized, okay? They weren't like aware or alert or awake. And I saw that, and then the next segment of the dream was I am on my back, and there is this reptilian, and we are making love. We're basically having a sexual experience. And I'm looking into the eyes of this being, this reptilian, and I'm seeing the beauty, and we're communicating telepathically. And he is reminding me of my time in another realm, in another cosmic realm, where I was of the reptilian people, the civilization.
Mm-hmm.
It was so profound and so beautiful. I felt the love. The love was something, I guess you could say, otherworldly. I don't know. It was just like a profound love.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I looked to I sensed somebody watching us, and this is interesting because I'm still not quite sure this piece, how to put it together. I haven't spent a lot of time on it, but I'll tell you an additional experience that maybe might be the key. I looked behind me, and my son, my youngest son, Michael, was standing there looking at us, and he was a young boy. And I knew this had to do something with him. And then that was it. I woke up. Now, when he was an infant, he was abducted. And I was present watching this abduction. It was quite terrifying. And so I'm not sure how all this fits in together. But I do know that this is generational. I do know that my grandmother, who was Nantichoke, gave me a lot of information about the other realms, about the beings, about the nature beings, the spirit people, and so on and so forth, which she was an adept. She was a seer, and she probably was born with the call, as I was, the veil, which in the old country says that you're going to be the visionary, you will receive prophecy, or what they call the sight,
right,
which is the psychic abilities that I have, and you know what that means.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were born with the veil there, Barbara?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to the people that wouldn't understand that?
I'll do my best. It's called a call, C-A-U-L, call. And it's a veil of skin that is completely covering your face, and you come out of the womb like that. And now in the old country, or in the First Nations people's way, they knew that baby would have special gifts. In the old country, now I mean old country, I'm saying Ireland because that's where the other part of my people came from, is they knew that the child would have what they call the sight, meaning that they would be able to see what other people couldn't see, that they would have the gifts of, psychic gifts, telepathy, and so on and so forth. And this is very spot on. Now,
let me just interject, because that person that I mentioned earlier in the show, the shaman that was trained by 6 different tribes, it was because he was born with a veil. He was a Mohawk. And he was from birth taken to different tribes and taught all the shamanic knowledge of 6 different tribes. So yes, it's still being adhered to now in the Native Americans.
Yes, it is. It's very true. So, and my people knew that I had this gift, but this is interesting because nobody told me, this. But, and my grandmother died when I was 10, but she used to be talking to the spirits all the time. They would pull in the spirits and have conversations with them and so on. And she's the one who taught me up to 10 years old. After she died, I was sort of left on my own, floundering around trying to figure out why was I seeing colors around people? Why was I seeing things happen before they happened, and so on and so forth, It's about having a mentor. See, in the First Nations cultures, in the ancient cultures, when you were born and the elders saw that you had certain gifts, they would take you and teach you and mentor you to guide you. And without that, you're really lost, and you don't understand what's happening to you. And if you are a visionary, like you have visions of catastrophic events or the deaths of people happening, and you don't understand it, you think you're making these things happen. Or you have the gift of healing, you have the gift of energy running through your body and so on and so forth, where you feel also the clairsentient within your own body. You feel an illness, or you can read people's thoughts. I had all of this stuff, and it's quite, daunting when you don't understand it and you're a kid. So it's really, we're missing that piece in our culture, because children, especially today, the star children coming in and others have these tremendous psychic gifts. And of course, when you have an NDE, a near-death experience, that's another thing that helps you. It shifts you into this psychic, these extrasensory gifts. Many people talk about that with their near-death experiences, and they become heightened. And so if you don't understand this, or you don't know how to work with these gifts, it is a gift, and it's to be shared. And I know many people who are, we're told, oh, you're crazy, or don't be ridiculous, and so these gifts are, being forgotten or overlooked, or they're shamed about their abilities and so on, or they just think they're crazy. But, so just saying this piece here about the reptilians, that there are benevolent, reptilians as well. And, as is in every aspect of creation.
Oh, there's good and bad in everything.
Absolutely.
At least I believe that.
I've always said these reptilians have gotten a bad rap, but there definitely are, malevolent reptilians. They seem to be, I guess, probably the most outstanding that people are speaking about, or the manipulators, or that have an agenda. But there are the good ones as well. And many of us have this DNA within us.
I'd like to save that for another discussion, the reptilian thing, because I'd like to get to Colleen about her house and how she came to be in it, and does she know anything about the location on it? Oh,
well, I'm only saying because you had asked before we got off the break that you wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, so, definitely another,
Yeah, that opened a whole new topic.
Yes, it does.
So, Colleen, would you mind sharing with us?
Well, we've lived here going on 10 years now. We were living in a place that started flooding when it rained real hard, and we decided we didn't want to live there anymore. So, Carrie started looking for another house, and I had seen this house in my vision. She came home and she said, Mom, I found a house. I think you'll like it. I said, it's got 2 pillars like between the living room and dining room, doesn't it? She's like, how did you know? I said, I don't know. I saw it. And when I came to take a look at it, I felt like I knew this place. In my recollection, I don't think I ever was here, but I just felt like I knew this place. I mean, like I said, I had seen it, at least those 2 pillars.
Uh-huh.
And we've been here ever since. It's got a big corner lot with huge oak tree and a tulip tree and lilac bushes and peonies and all that kind of stuff. And apparently this used to be part of greenhouse. This whole this whole corner was at one time where they grew food and plant starters and stuff for.
And wow, look at what you do. You love growing things.
Yeah, so I was quite surprised, and I think, there's some really old herbs that used to be growing that have kind of gone to weed, but I don't care. I still like them.
Uh-huh.
Now, as far as, the energy line, the grid, the lines and all that, I have no clue. I know that in doing some digging, that it also looks like either someone used to work in a glass factory, or that there may have been a glass factory here on this property as well, because I've dug up old glass. I mean, it's melted and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really about all I know about it, except that other than our creepy basement.
Oh, I hate the creepy ones.
Yeah, this one is unfinished. I mean, to the point that part of it still has a dirt floor.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And, you know, the old coal bin is, well, it's kind of, there's a room that's all wood, and we keep the washer in front of it just in case something creepy, you know. We're like, yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Oh, I understand that, yeah.
And,
wow. Do you ever get bad feelings or good feelings from that place?
Well, Carrie and Jade both insist that there are beings here.
Uh-huh.
I know that the old landlords were around for a long time, 'cause we wake up at 3 a.m, you know, about the time the bars close. And somebody would be fixing breakfast. You could smell bacon and toast and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And coffee. And of course you wake up and you go in the kitchen and there's no bacon.
Do you like having them there?
I didn't mind it at all. But then I felt at one particular time that there was a being here that I didn't like so much. So I kind of did a smudging and a get out of here sort of thing. But, well, I felt for a long time that it did, but I kind of feel like that perhaps it or another one comes around from time to time.
Sounds like it's time to do a saging again.
Yeah.
Maybe put some salt down on the windows and doors.
Okay. Well, I keep my sage. I've heard that you're supposed to like burn it and then, discard of it or bury it or something, and I've never done that.
Well, what I do with the sage burning is I light the sage, put it in the bowl, sage bowl, use a feather, and I say with the feather, scooting the sage around with the feather, I go to all the openings and I say all the bad spirits need to leave this place now, leave through here, and you aren't welcome back. Only good spirits and good beings are allowed in.
Well, that's quite similar to what I've done and do.
You don't have to say it in certain ways. Just get your point across.
Right. Well, the only thing is that the former landlords left too.
Oh, did they?
I'm like, I didn't mean you guys.
Yeah. It must have been time, though, for them to go.
It could have been, you know. Well, I know that Jade at one time, she was quite a bit younger and she was standing at the refrigerator. Uh-huh. You know how they do with the refrigerator door standing open.
Oh, yeah.
Looking and looking and looking.
Yeah.
And Jade slammed the door and come running in the living room. I'm going, what's wrong? She said, somebody just put their hand on my head. I said, well, it was probably Bonnie's mom, which is our landlord's now, because her parents lived here before, telling you to shut the damn refrigerator door. But, yeah. But, you know, like I said, and I'm pretty insensitive to a whole lot of that stuff, and Carrie and Jade seem to be a whole lot more sensitive.
Yeah. The little boy who's here, Russell's girlfriend's son, 3.5 years old, he's seeing the spirits in my house, and he's saying monster, and he runs to his mom. All of a sudden, he'll stop playing with his little trucks. He'll look up and he'll say, monster, and he runs to his mom. And I say to him, that's not a monster, honey. Look at it and tell me what you see, but he doesn't explain it to me. And so his mother is terrified of spirits. So I haven't told her what I do. Russell hasn't told her what goes on here.
Uh-oh.
So I've had a generic type conversation with her explaining not all spirits are bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's good spirits too. And if you stop and, I just had the discussion with her. So hopefully we're going to get it so that she won't encourage his feeling of bad about seeing.
Right.
And,
well, unfortunately, there's been a whole lot of that, over the years, people thinking that all spirits are evil.
yeah.
Works of
Yeah.
the devil and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Well, you see it on TV all the time, like that paranormal activity
Oh, I know.
and the haunting houses, and
Yeah.
they're trying to scare people by pointing out all the bad stuff, and they don't like to show the good stuff.
Right, yeah. Carrie watches paranormal all the time.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I did sit and watch a couple of them the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that there are messages in there,
Mm-hmm.
but that it's twisted to such a degree as, to make it really, really scary. Although I've heard some people say, yeah, they think it's hilarious,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the whole purpose is to put the message out, but to make you laugh at it all. So,
So when people come to your house, do they express how they're feeling?
what do you mean?
Well, like when people come to my house and on their second trip, because their first trip they sit there and nod off, and I just quiet and let them. But they say how comfortable it is, how peaceful they are. Do people experience that at your house?
At my house? No.
Oh,
Well, we have the dogs, we have the cats, we have lots
of activities.
of activities. It's been a long, long time since I've had a peaceful house. Gosh, a long time. 20, 30 years probably.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of why I've set up shop here in the back of the house in this room.
Well, I was wondering if you felt that you were living in that house for a reason, but what you said about you saw it before you moved there,
Mm-hmm.
makes me think, yes, you are there for a reason.
Yes, I think so too. This is the second house that I have seen before I went to it. And both times moved in and was there for quite a while.
So that makes 4 of us who are living in houses where we are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, yeah.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Well, it was really interesting when, at one point, because I had flood issues here. So I got a friend of mine and we took the electric and we put it all, instead of being near the floor, we put it all up in the ceiling. So, the sockets are, 5 feet up on the wall. So we wouldn't have the electric problem if there was ever a flood. And as we were working on inside the walls, we realized that, wow, there's a lot of damage to these walls. And so we just started getting more and more involved in opening up the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in I was at the kitchen sink and he came in and he's got something in his hand, and whatever he was carrying had so much evil associated with it that I dropped whatever I was doing and began to back up as fast as I could until I was at the wall. I couldn't back up any farther. And I'm yelling at him, what do you got? What is that? And he had it was a wood carving. And it was like, if you took and you had a globe and you cut it in half, but not in half, sort of like a third. So it's not exactly a half of a globe, but a third. And so it's flat on the back of it, but it's the sphere on the front. And carved into this was Fallon's, like from I thought initially that it was an eagle, but then after the fact I thought maybe it was a reptilian claw-like thing.
Here we go with the reptiles again.
Say again. I know, but it was
Right.
I'm just thinking about this thing.
Yeah.
he had found this embedded between the joist of the wall, the 2x4 that's holding up the wall, and the outside wall.
Wow.
Between those two places. Like somebody had put it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
How
know,
old is the house?
the house was built in the 40s, and when I scanned it, I felt like this was not done by a 3D person. This was some kind of like a beacon or a marker. And for years, I mean, I basically took it away from him and put it in a safe space. You just sit there while I think about what I'm going to do with you. I don't know what you are. And I left it that way for many, many years. And then it was about 2000. I think it was right there at the turn. I happened to be here by myself. All my friends had gone someplace for Christmas, and I had, like 10 days off between the holidays, and it was just like, oh wow, I get to be here by myself and nothing to do. It's great. And as I'm doing stuff, I start to get thinking about this thing, and I'm like, man, this is some kind, what are we doing? What do you want me to do? And because I had nothing in my life that was taking me away from being very balanced, very immersed into the whole metaphysical, spiritual feeling thing, the guides came through very, very clearly. And it was then that they said to me, you need to burn this. And I'm going like, okay, but I realized that was just a way to start a fire, that we were going to do some kind of a ceremonial thing that I wasn't exactly privy to the details yet. So I build the fire, and I've got this thing, and before I threw it in the fire, it was, because it's pictures more so than words, but basically what they were saying was that there's another timeline that's in terrible trouble. And this is the symbol of that timeline. Are you willing to jump timelines? Because I was on a timeline that was ascending. I mean, everything, I can't even tell you how perfect everything was. And I mean, like I say, I was living in a magical place, and I had magical people coming to this property just because they were led here. Just all sorts of things were happening. And so that was when it was I was given the opportunity, the decision point. And I think a lot of light workers, a lot of people out there, maybe not as knowingly as I was, but that they went through the same thing, is you can continue on this path that you're on and everything's going to be hunky-dory. But there's this bad thing that's happening over here. Will you jump timelines to be able to deal with it? And the symbol of it was that particular wood carving. And so I said, will I succeed? Because I'm not going to jump into something I ain't going to. I want to know I'm going to be a winner. I don't want to just jump timelines. Yes, this is you're going to succeed. Oh, okay. But then I said, and will I save everybody? Well, I didn't say I said, will everybody be saved? And they said yes. And so I said, all right, that sounds like a done deal. And that's when I burned that thing. And, but it was like, I mean, somebody put something between the wall and the wood. I mean, it was nuts. I don't even know how I got into that story. It was some point. Barbara,
we've all had experiences, though, where we live. We've all had experiences, and we all seem to be living in a specific, special spot for us. But yet, we're all tied together. WSR has helped us to get together.
Yep.
Are we part of? So we're all part of the grid. Not everyone lives on a particular, on a specific ley line. The grid is quite expansive. Just thinking of where we're all lined up.
Right.
Now that you're bringing that up, Dolly.
Yes.
Interesting, yeah.
That's why I cut you off on the reptilians to get to Colleen. I wanted to try to figure out how are we all tied together.
Well, maybe we're at particular points, in conjunction with each other and the work that we're doing through Wolf Spirit Radio.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me. And, of course, it's not just the it's on the many levels,
Right.
in the dream time, because I know I do a lot of traveling in the dream time. People tell me I'm with them in places pretty much all over the world. People that I've met have said, or connect with me and say, oh, you were here and you did that and so on and so forth. I say, okay.
And see,
I got used to saying, okay, because I know that I travel, but it's interesting that people are aware of it and they see me,
right.
that I've never met. And they say, oh, I met you here, blah, 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 and you did this, this, and that. And I know I'm at those places, but I didn't realize that anybody would really be awake there in that moment. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. So
like
I'm wondering where JP is now.
Mm.
We all know that he went through this process of living with someone and then he found the cottage. That's what I consider, I think,
okay.
where he's living. And he's around all these farm animals. He's near a farm. He's got the cows. He's got chickens going around. That ties in with Colleen living on a, what'd you call it? Nursery type place.
It was, yeah, at one time. Well, and I did live in another house at one time up in Warsaw that had a big greenhouse.
And then Nancy living in that special place. It used to be a desert and the city didn't even know she had a house there. Pretty special place. I don't have any special thing that I know of here. Just my huge, big Florida elm. But I tie into you, Colleen, because I was a quality person in a glass factory. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you're saying the glass, the old glass in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We are also tied together in so many different ways and in so many different levels and dimensions that we don't even realize them yet. The extent of it. And I know in my being, JP is tied into us too. And Dave is saying where he lived in Pahrump, he was there because there's also a lot of MK Ultra people who were sent to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the one who's basically brought us all together. I see, I'm trying to make these tie-ins to figure out, okay, we're all together. We're all connected in some way. We're all on our separate purposes that tie into a big purpose too that we all have to do together. And it makes me wonder, what the dickens are we going to do this year? We did a lot last year. We all individually did a lot in our shows. We all ended up somehow talking about the same things in different ways. We were tied in 2015, and I'm just so excited about 2016 and wondering what the heck we all are going to be doing together.
Well, that's really interesting because now that we're very more aware of this piece, there's a reason why we were given this awareness, and we're living on certain points on the earth, and I bet we're on certain grid lines for sure. I mean, Nancy knows she is. I know I'm in an area here that is very powerful, and like I said, I don't know about a particular exact ley line or grid line. Mm-hmm. But I'm at power points here because there's a cairn, known as a cairn, the old things that they find of the stone formations. Mm-hmm. In that hidden valley, there's 58 acres that I'm talking about where the ship came out of, and so on and so forth.
Barb, what you said, it just made me wake up. Venice is said to have been an old Indian village.
Okay.
What they did was they did protection things for the Venice area.
Okay.
When the bad hurricanes, Kate and the other horrendous hurricane that hit Port Charlotte and
Andrew?
Yes. Well, that one too. But Andrew was more south of us. But
You
the
thinking
one
Charlie?
Yes. When they came in, they were predicted to hit Venice straight on. They never did.
Well,
And the saying goes that the Indians have put us in this protection where we shouldn't get hit by bad things like the hurricanes and other bad things like earthquakes that could happen. And they say Venice is a protected area.
yeah, and that's what I'm surmising with where Nancy is, because on all the water coastal areas, a lot of the water coastal areas, of course, the First Nations people lived on the coastal areas as well as, in other places, but the coastal areas were very sacred for them. And and they also were very well aware of the power points on the earth, and did ceremony and protective, ceremonies and other things there too. So, I find that very interesting, Dolly, that came to you. So yeah, because this area where I am, there's a lot of those sacred points, sacred sites.
Yeah. I knew I wanted to do a show for a reason. And I had no intention of going in this direction. But here we are.
So I just want to finish my thought about if now that we are all on the same page and aware of our placement and our connectedness through Wolf Spirit Radio and our very profound connectedness about the work we're doing.
Yeah.
For the Mother Earth and Gaia, as Nancy says, same thing. I'm wondering if there's any thoughts that you might have with this awareness, because it's a gift to come into an awareness like this. And so I look at these types of things and I say, okay, so Spirit gave me this awareness. Now, this is important, okay, that awareness, I feel. So is there something or some focus or anything that you might feel, you guys, with this new awareness? Just asking the question. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm just so overwhelmed with realizing that right now I can't get past that part yet.
Well, you two were on a show together that I happened to stumble across. I think I was doing something else and went there for the URL was all, and I said, "Oh, who's playing?" and turned this thing on. I was immediately captured into the discussion you were having, and it went on for a while. And Barbara all of a sudden said, "Well, I know that I'm talking to somebody right now," and I knew she was talking to me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what happens to our listeners. I think it goes beyond just what we might be connected with. That our listeners are drawn to us because Spirit is saying, you need to listen to these people. They are of the same family.
Right.
And that's kind of what I feel is that, before Wolf Spirit, I didn't need to be contacting people. I was fine not talking to anybody all day long. Since Wolf Spirit, if I don't talk to Colleen and see Dolly on chat and now talk to Dolly, it feels like I didn't get up in the morning and see my family.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's so strong, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I know we're here for listeners. I know we are here for people out there that are going to be coming in. I know.
So looking at the way, of understanding or understanding the grid or the ley lines or the power lines, the life force of the Mother Earth, through those lines, with the ley lines that we're talking about. We call it the sacred web. Understanding this, how everyone, all listeners, everyone, that we are all upon this sacred web on the Mother Earth, because it's not just, how could I say it? It's not, the web itself crisscrosses, okay? And the ley lines crisscross all over the whole of the earth. And throughout the whole of the earth, at certain telluric points. Now, I'd surmise that Nancy's on a telluric point, because a telluric point is a high energy point. And I'd surmise, Dolly, that where you're living is also on a telluric point. And most likely, I'm sure Colleen is as well. And I am too. These are very powerful points on the earth, that need to be fed. In our understanding, in the way that telluric points, sacred sites were put upon these telluric points for the purpose of ceremony and feeding them energetically to activate the frequencies of these points to feed the whole of the web. So I see we got a message. We've got to finish up.
Yeah, we have to wrap up. It's time. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Well, we can continue into the next show because it's going to be me and Colleen doing Say What, and we never know what's going to happen there. So if you want to take a break and come back, we can do that.
That sounds good to me.
And I see that JP just messaged, sorry, I fell asleep after my shower. Long story. Many blessings. So Jay, if you happen to be listening, you can join us on the next 2 hours.
Well, but Nancy, the next hour is Hagee Shack's radio.
Oh crap! Is that
no. If we're bringing up the Say What now.
Yeah, because that's the way I scheduled it. So let's do that because yeah, it just seems to be that it's best for us to follow you, Dolly, because you bring out things that we can talk about. So I think we sort of made that change, not knowing what we were doing.
I didn't know that. On the schedule it said it was Colleen, and I didn't want to cut into
Yeah, we haven't changed that. And I do have a gentleman who would like to join us.
Oh, he is coming in. Good.
Yes, yes, and I'm just going to add him. So I think that what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put on Dolly's outro and maybe a piece of music, and so we can all go potty and do whatever we got to do before we come back.
Okay, but wait just a second. I gotta do this real quick, Colleen.
Okay.
Don't forget we're listener supported. Please hit the donate button. Please do the subscription if you want to hear the archives. We got a whole shitload of archives you can hear, and that's for $5 a month, but you don't get automatically renewed. You have to renew it yourself each month. So okay, thank you for listening, and see you next week, same time, same place.
Thank you, Dolly.
Thanks, Dolly.
Thank you
girls.
guys for coming on.
See y'all later. Well, in a few minutes.
Love y'all. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.